I think the other part too is just growing workers for our community. What better way than to start at our high school level, train a student how we want workers to be in the community, and then go out. Worksite Learning is an opportunity where students can come that either have jobs or they're searching for jobs, and we help them find a placement within our community, and they want to receive credit for real-world opportunities that they're doing out in the job place.
I think Worksite Learning from an employer standpoint is the opportunity to create or to develop a pipeline into your business or a pipeline into the workforce that has where you have support from the school system. So there's an opportunity for the student or employee to get some mentorship, not just from you, but from a teacher's perspective. So there's teacher support, there's teacher mentorship or instructor mentorship involved in that. And so the entire burden doesn't rest on the employer, which is a nice concept, because one of the things that we're having trouble with is not just getting employees in, but retaining employees.
They have a job, they come to us, and then we set them up and we work with the employer in order to make sure that our kids are meeting learning goals and doing evaluations, and because of their hard work that they're getting on the job, they're earning credit in high school.
So I definitely was a little nervous at first. I kind of didn't know what to expect, or if anything was going to be expected.
There's really nothing extra that comes with this class. It's really just bettering yourself as a worker and a student, because you have interviews with your manager and your worksite learning teacher, and it just helps you stay on top of your work ethic.
So when we do the program during the school year, it can seem overwhelming when you hear a student has to get 180 hours during the year, but really it breaks down to just 10 hours a week. And so for an employer's standpoint, if you think about a kid that's going after school 5 days a week, that's only 2 hours a day working. And some of our kids, even after sports, they can still go and get 2 or 3 hours or their extracurricular activities, right? And we have a lot of kids that go straight from school to work. And I think the employer, their hesitation is it's going to take a lot of time out of my day to monitor this student, but I'm a big picture type of person, and so when I think about it or I put an image out there, it's only really about 20 to 30 minutes over the course of the whole entire year that you would spend working with a student in Worksite Learning, and that's based on their evaluations, sitting down, meeting with me, going through just the paperwork process and the orientation. And so when we really think about out of a whole entire year, 9 months of a school year, you're spending 30 minutes.
As an employer, if you don't know what it is, Worksite Learning, it's like, oh my goodness, do I have to take on that responsibility of teaching something other than the job at hand? And that's not the case. You would hire a Worksite Learning student just like you would any other student. The benefit to you is that the burden of training them and the burden of walking them through conflict resolution, or being able to count change back, or talking to a person face to face and looking them in the eye. You tell that to the Worksite Learning teacher, and there's some mentorship that's going on behind that. So you aren't training somebody and then losing them because they can't get a skill correctly. You're training them, and that training money is not going to be lost because you've got somebody in the back supporting you, and that doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you time, it doesn't cost you money, but you get all the benefit of it.
I think with the program overall, it is an opportunity to help walk employers and students through just an evaluation process and what it looks like to be a good employee. And I think sometimes students, they have their very first job and they get told these are all the tasks you're going to do, but there's no place or opportunity unless the employer has it set up to go through and evaluate and say these are the skills that you would need to master in order to move on to your next job or the next level. And so I've really seen the kids grow from the fall to the spring through the year just with those skills in general. How are they communicating with other people? Are they working cooperatively? And then they're going to take the skills that they're learning now at an entry-level job and then apply it either to that same company as they're moving up the ranks, or they're going to go on to a different company where they're going to be in a career job for life.
So I know there's a lot of, we aren't very hardworking, we procrastinate, we don't get things done, but I feel like students in this class that know they want to work and do school at the same time, they kind of are more aware, I guess, and kind of more mature about it, if that makes sense.
The evaluation piece happens every 90 hours, and we've got some kids that are working 20, 28 hours a week, depending on how old they are in high school. So sometimes that happens every 5 weeks of a cycle. And so my job here, I'm communicating with students every week and making sure they're tracking down their hours and then meeting with them there at the same time so that we can sit down and have that dialect and conversation for their evaluations.
It allows us to get better insight on the people that are coming into the workforce, right? And not only does education have to ebb and flow with the folks that are coming into the workforce, but so does the workforce. The workforce has to change too, and it gives us an opportunity to maybe get one step ahead of some of the things that are, of some of the issues that are going to have to be dealt with. It's such a valuable resource and a valuable partnership to have an idea of what is coming, into the pipeline, because we have to step up to the plate too. And so if we're not ready for that, we're not going to be able to retain those people. They're going to move on and move fast, and you can kind of be left, on the sidelines.
Yeah, I've done a lot of educating on minor work laws this year as I've been out, and then also just an evaluation process and what a good evaluation system looks like. And we've even had employers come back to us and say, can I have a copy of your evaluation form? I want to use it with my other employees, not just my Worksite Learning students. We have different advisory committees that are out there, but every single CTE teacher is a part of an advisory committee, and they have members from the community or past alumni that come in and they advise them on what is happening in the real world. Because as teachers, a lot of times we're in our classrooms, we don't get out all the time, but what we love is that connection where we do get the input from, and then also as teachers we can go out and go job shadow at their facility and see what are our students in high school actually needing. And then it goes beyond that, and there's South Sound Council, which is a large advisory for CTE directors within our western area, and they all come together, and same thing, they sit down with businesses and talk about what is needed, specifically for Worksite Learning students.
I would just honestly tell them to go for it, and then Miss Hull will always be there, or whoever your teacher is will just always be there to support you.
I think the biggest thing is time, thinking that it's going to take a lot of time out of their day and extra, where everyone's busy, everybody is short-staffed around the world, and so you're thinking that it's going to take a lot of time, but really the time that you're putting in, you're just creating that much better of an employee that's going to be working for you.
I think it's one of the best things that's happened to education in the last 100 years.